All right. Hello. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another Classic Comics live stream. Okay. Been a couple of weeks. Been kind of busy, but we're back at it here. Now, uh, first thing I want to tackle is the potential sale of Disney. So there are rumors running around that Disney might wind up being sold lock, stock, and barrel. Uh, Apple seems like the most likely uh, culprit, and I have no idea if this is true. I have no idea, but it's a rumor that keeps coming up, so I thought I would kind of take a look at it. In addition to that, what else have we got? DC's announced some new animated films, Crisis and a Watchmen film. We'll talk about that a little. Lucasfilm is getting sued over a prop that was used in Indiana Jones. So Indiana Jones 5 is the gift that just keeps on giving for Lucasfilm. So Greta Gerwig, the director of Barbie, she's going to be doing uh, a new version of Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, I guess, the Narnia books, which I'm sure will be just over the top feminist propaganda, just like Barbie is. Oh my God, I'm dreading this. Then we'll talk about the reshoots for Aquaman, the failure of the Flash, and how that's going to impact James Gunn's DCU going forward. Uh, Blue Beetle, is that going to be part of the DCU or is it not? And maybe a couple other things. So let's go ahead and get rolling here. Let me bring this up first. Where to go? Okay, I'm used to. Uh, hey, J Man. Thanks for stopping by. Hey, J-Man, so I found those strong arm audio plays that you did. I listened to a couple of them last night. Those are a lot of fun. I need to listen to the others. But I had no idea I had those. Those were fun. But yeah, I mean, him doing Narnia or her doing Narnia, that's just, oh my God. It's going to be like, it's like Lord of the Rings, at Amazon. It's going to be awful. It's going to be just they're going to rewrite everything, and oh my God, it, because I mean, look, Barbie, I don't care. Barbie, that's a chick thing, and I don't know why people are surprised that Barbie is like straight feminist propaganda. I could have told anyone that's what it was going to be. I don't know why anyone is surprised by that. And you hear people say like, well, the trailers look good. Yes, so what? How many times has Hollywood fooled you with trailers? I said, when did I come? I don't remember when I came up with this, but there's the old line from The Usual Suspects. The greatest trick the devil ever played was convincing people he didn't exist. And I remember sometime after that coming up with the saying that the greatest the greatest deception Hollywood ever came up with was being able to take any piece of crap movie and make it look good for 2 minutes. So I was like, so what? The trailer's good, or it looks harmless, and uh, but I don't care. It's a Barbie movie. Every female on the planet is gonna go see that goddamn thing. So who cares? I'm not worried about it. But Narnia, oh my God, I'm gonna frickin' be so pissed. I thought people thought it may be harmless, cutesy fun, not 2 hours of bad Well, like I say, I mean, I don't know uh, if you've been paying attention over the last like 6, 7 years. I don't know why you would think that, but anyway, it is what it is. I haven't seen it, not planning to see it. Let me bring this up here right quick. And hey, J Man, let me get through some of these stories I wanted to look at, but later, if you want to come in and join me, let me know. I can. Send you a link. I know you're not obligated to come in or anything. I don't know if I should always ask you to come in or not, but I feel like I should. I'd be rude if I do or rude if I don't. So I feel like I should ask. Okay, so with ABC sale on the table, Bob Iger brings Disney back to deal making business. So this is the Hollywood Reporter. If his first run with SEO was about addition, his second tenure is about subtraction. If Bob Iger's tenure as the CEO of Disney between 2005 2020 was defined by one thing, it would be the deals. In 2006, he acquired a computer animation company founded by Steve Jobs called Pixar for 7.4 billion. In 2009, he acquired down on its luck comic book publisher Marvel for 4 billion. In 2012, he spearheaded the acquisition of George Lucas's Lucasfilm for 4 billion. Actually, it's 4.25 billion, I believe it was. That was actually a sticking point for Lucas. He was like, "Why are you paying more for Marvel than you're paying more for Lucasfilm?" Let's see. In 2017, he acquired a majority stake in BAMTech for 1.6 billion, a streaming video provider that built the backbone of what became Disney Plus and Hulu. In 2019, he acquired, excuse me, the entertainment assets of Fox in a staggering $71 billion deal. Thanks to a blockbuster interview on Thursday, it seems clear that Iger's second run as CEO will be defined by his deal making as well. This time, however, he's mostly a seller, not a buyer. So J-Man says, sure, maybe in 30 minutes. Okay, sure. Yeah, just let me know. Okay, speaking to CNBC's David Faber on a makeshift TV set on the side of the road in Sun Valley, Idaho. Okay, why is that relevant? Iger opined about Disney's future in streaming and what it means for many of its legacy businesses. In the case of ESPN, that likely means a strategic partnership, one that will help it make the jump to direct to consumer. In the case of its linear TV networks, well, Iger's comment that, quote, they may not be core to Disney, unquote, are the Sun Valley equivalent of a for sale sign. Transformative work is dealing with businesses that are no growth businesses and what to do about them, and particularly the linear businesses, which we are expansive in our thinking about. Well, that's oddly phrased. The CNBC anchor then cited the ABC broadcast network and its local TV stations, as well as the FX cable channel, and asked Iger directly if they were for sale and if they were not core to Disney, sparking Iger's reply. The distribution model, the business model that forms the underpinning of that business and that has delivered great product profits over the years, is definitely broken, and we have to call it like it is, Iger added. Wells Fargo analyst Steve Cahill wrote Thursday that selling the linear assets would improve Disney's CAGR, which looks at the growth rate of a company, to more than 20%. The ABC network, its local stations, FX, Freeform, at Disney's 50% stake in A&E networks are all seen by Cahill as up for grabs. Is Freeform Freeform's a network? I thought that was a streamer. Okay, well, I guess I was wrong. Divesting such assets would bring in cash and improve EPS growth, Cahill wrote, adding that the rationale would be getting rid of an asset that worries investors while stepping into a better growth, more streamlined DIS. As for who would buy a declining asset like linear TV networks, DirecTV was sold and private equities involved in linear TV broadcast, Cahill wrote. In other words, the future of ABC or Freeform could be similar to that of newspapers, where private equity and hedge funds scoop up declining but cash flow rich businesses and figure out a way to maintain margins. In other words, cut costs down to almost nothing so that they can still eke out a profit. I would guess a heavy reliance on reality TV, stuff like that. In the case of ESPN, Iger was clear that Disney intends to remain an owner, but that a quote strategic partner that could bring something to the table would be welcome. whether it's content value, whether it's distribution value, whether it's capital. If they come to the table with value that enables ESPN to make a transition to the direct to consumer offering, then we're going to be very open minded about that. In other words, he wants to find a company with deep pockets, an interest in becoming a major player in sports, and the ability to scale a premium service fast, and that is willing to share ownership of ESPN with Disney and possibly Hearst, which still owns a majority stake in ESPN. Such a description immediately brings to mind the major tech giants Apple, Amazon, and Google. They have more than enough cash to help finance ESPN, global reach, and a desire to build major streaming video businesses. They also have a strong interest in sports, with Amazon inking a multi-billion-dollar deal for NFL Thursday night football games, YouTube ponying up $2 billion per year for NFL Sunday ticket rights, and Apple inking a 10-year, $2.5 billion agreement with MLS. As it happens, some of the potential partners are already in Sun Valley, presumably joining Iger for the annual barbecue dinner next to the Sun Valley Duck Pond. Among those spotted at the Idaho resort this week are YouTube CEO Neil Moen, Apple CEO Tim Cook, uh, and Apple CEO Tim Cook. Iger, it should be noted, appeared at Apple's last product event where he touted the potential ESPN and other Disney properties on Apple's Vision Pro headset. Yeah, I saw some articles about that. I almost was considering reading those as well. A possible dark horse would be Netflix, which has long been intrigued by sports but has balked at the cost. While Netflix is more of a direct competitor to Disney than Apple or Amazon or YouTube, the combination of the two companies could be what it takes to drive ESPN to a successful post-linear world. And then there's Disney's Star India business. The company is exploring its strategic options, whether an outright sale or a new joint venture looking to unwind one of the critical international pieces of the 21st Century Fox acquisition. And I think that Star India, I believe it's a network that they have over in India that, again, like they say, it was part of Fox, I guess. ABC and Disney's linear cable channels, ESPN, Star India, they may not be intellectual property, but they are historic media brands. And now interested parties might be able to buy a piece of them or buy them outright as Iger refocuses ESPN on a profitable streaming future. That streaming future is the one piece of the puzzle where Iger still appears acquisitive. Comcast has an option to force Disney to buy out its remaining 25% stake early next year. There's a mechanism to ultimately determine its fair market value, and we'll go through the process with them, Iger told Faber. The goal is to do it as quickly as possible. With Disney already committed to move Hulu content onto Disney Plus by the end of this year, the buyout of Comcast's stake is all but certain. In his initial 15-year run as CEO, Iger spent some $90 billion on acquisitions, but also grew Disney's market cap from $48 billion to $257 billion. But that growth coincided with the money printing machine that is the pay TV business. Iger's vision for Disney this time around seems smaller and more targeted, a business that can leave the legacy of cable and satellite TV behind and place it more squarely in competition and possibly in partnership with streaming-only companies like Netflix, Apple, and YouTube. So they're looking to shed their old TV networks, the standard broadcast networks such as ABC and even streaming or not streaming, cable networks. And then basically reinvent them, particularly reinvent ESPN as a streaming model. And they don't have the money to do that themselves because they're so deeply in debt, and they need partners to help them, and they're trying to figure out who that's going to be. Now let me move on. Let me see here okay, they didn't really get into it in this article, but there was some headline I saw somewhere about someone, and it was like, I shouldn't say headline, it was like speculation. It may have actually even been on Twitter, I don't know, but someone claiming that Disney's going to buy, or Apple's going to wind up buying Disney for like 250 billion in the next few years. I have no idea if that's going to happen. It'll be certainly interesting if it does. And the thing is, Apple, as they mentioned in the article there, Apple, companies like Apple and Google and Amazon, I mean, they have massive amounts of cash. They're floating on money, much more so than these Hollywood studios are. So they can take financial losses for a lot longer time than these Hollywood studios can. So if you think woke programming is a problem now, if these tech companies buy up Hollywood studios and they're running them, they can lose money on films and TV for a lot longer time than a network or a Hollywood studio can, and the problem's only going to get worse. Okay. What do I want to look at next here? Okay. Uh, let me bring this up here. This is from Variety. Okay. Mogul memo: why Iger couldn't pick a worse time to re-up. Of course, Iger has recently renewed his contract with Disney, and he's going to be around for another couple of years. Dear Bob, your announcement Wednesday that you're sticking around as Disney's CEO through 2026 marked the fifth time you've signed a contract extension in the last decade. I'm not sure if a person can be addicted to a job, but you just might be. That's why absolutely no one was surprised by this latest move. What did surprise me was the timing, not that the announcement didn't conveniently coincide with your annual trip to Sun Valley, enabling you to take a victory lap in close proximity to your powerful peers. So what was odd about the timing was that you were signing on for a longer tour of duty at Disney just as the company couldn't seem to be swirling any deeper in the toilet. To wit, the company is coming off a pair of rare box office flops in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny and Elemental. ESPN just endured some steep cost cutting in its on air talent core, calling into question the future of the business. The theme parks that help boost the rest of the business are starting to show slippage. That expensive Fox acquisition is starting to look foolish now that the Star India asset is being shopped around. Disney just lost its CFO. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has the company in its crosshairs. Disney Plus is coming off two successive quarters of subscriber losses. The future of the Hulu asset between Disney and Comcast seems uncertain as ever, and a pair of guild strikes is paralyzing the entire Hollywood production business. And yet, here you are standing by the business at a time when Disney's prospects couldn't seem worse, and that takes some cojones. If the next few years go sideways despite your best efforts, you're taking a risk or you're risking a sterling legacy that's taken decades to establish. You didn't have to tell me what this extension is about. Obviously, you have a vision for Disney that's going to take longer than 2024 to execute, and you sold the board of directors on letting you stick around long enough to see it through. What exactly that vision is remains the question everyone is asking, but articulating it is precisely what's needed to get some fresh momentum behind Disney's stock price. You clearly indicated on CNBC Wednesday that the company's TV assets and broadcast and cable could get sold off either entirely or partially given the decline of the traditional TV business. And, thinking about it, what may be at work here is Iger may be looking at something along the lines of what Zaslav has done. What did Zaslav do? He came in, took charge of Warner Brothers after they merged with Discovery, and he started cutting. He started cutting shows, started cutting personnel, started cutting whole departments, whole networks, and basically trying to shed a lot of stuff and basically shed everything that wasn't making money in order to cut costs and to help relieve their massive debt. And it turns out that was really all just kind of to help sell the company, right? This is looking maybe at gearing towards selling the company down the line. And this may be something along the lines of what Iger's thinking too. Cut networks that aren't making money, cut departments, cut shows that aren't making money, streamline it, cut a lot of the fat away, make it a smaller company but more efficient so that it can then be a more attractive a target for acquisition by somebody else, like, say, Apple, for example. And I would imagine they're doing this because they've let their debt get so massive that they realize they're probably never going to pay it off. They're never going to pay this debt off. So we're going to have to sell this whole thing to somebody who will take it on and then cover the debt for us. Kind of like what happened with what you call it, CW, when that was sold for basically given away. It was basically just take this network and you can have it for free if you'll take the debt that goes with it. Still, I think that's just the beginning. Many anticipate it involves you selling Disney to a bigger company. That chance of that happening anytime soon in this regulatory climate, though FTC Chair Lena Khan isn't looking too fearsome after the Microsoft Activision debacle this week. By the way, I'm also wondering whether video games is another place Disney will expand into, as VIP Plus has previously recommended. And as much as everyone expects you to sell out to Apple, we saw recently just how much you love that company. My money is on you buying smaller companies to become a bigger company in your own right, continuing the hot streak you kicked off years ago with Marvel, Lucasfilm, Pixar, and so on. But it's also those businesses that seem to be in a world of hurt right now. Fixing them may be job one. The rap on you is that you suck at succession. In all fairness, you're hardly alone in that regard in the media sector. Just ask some of the guys you groomed as heir apparents in the past, only to discard at the last minute, like Tom Staggs and Kevin Mayer. It's hard to believe you simply won't loosen your grip on the reins because you're addicted to power or haven't seen a replacement candidate worthy of your throne. A lot of people will say you just don't know how to walk away, but I think there's a more generous way to look at it. The message you're sending Wall Street is you're not going to quit until the job is done, no matter how long the odds might seem. Yeah, that's one way of looking at it. I don't know if I'd give Iger that much credit, but whatever. Okay, that's enough about Iger. Okay, so now here's an interesting one. Let me bring this up. Yeah, well, give me a second here. Okay, so DC Animation. Now, after the announcement of Gunn and Safran taking over, DC Studios, there was some wondering about what does this mean for animation? Will they still do animation? Will they still do animated movies, et cetera, et cetera? And now we've got, I believe these are the first new animated film announcements since Gunn took over. This is from IGN.com. Comic Con 2023. Oh, yeah, Comic Con is going on, if you didn't know. Nobody seems to really care much, but whatever. DC announces Crisis on Infinite Earths and Watchmen animated movies. Two of DC's biggest graphic novels will get the animated treatment next year. DC has revealed its next two direct-to-video animated movies, and they're based on two of the most iconic graphic novels of the 80s. Both Crisis on Infinite Earths and Watchmen will receive animated adaptations in 2024. The news came following a screening of Justice League War World at San Diego Comic-Con. DC didn't reveal much in the way of details for either project, though we do know the Watchmen movie will be rated R. They also released a teaser for Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths featuring the film's logo, and you can see it there. Crisis on Infinite Earths revolves around a cosmic destroyer known as the Anti-Monitor, seeking to eliminate all universes in the DC multiverse, forcing the heroes of numerous worlds to band together to save what remains. Oh, okay, you're ready? Okay. Give me a second, J-Man. Let me bring that up, and let me and I'll send the link to you here. Where direct messages? Okay. Da-da-da-da-da. So, right, copy. Um, okay. Okay. I DM'd it to you. So just you can come in when you're ready. Uh, so where was I? Okay, so this will mark the second time Crisis has been adapted following 2019's live-action Arrowverse crossover. The animated film may be a follow-up to War World, making it the next installment of DC's ongoing Tomorrowverse line of animated films. If this Crisis is anything like the Arrowverse version, we'd expect cameos from a number of past and present DC animated series like Justice League Unlimited, Teen Titans, Young Justice, and The Batman. The Batman. As for Watchmen, the film will be an adaptation of Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons' acclaimed graphic novel, which has already inspired a live action adaptation from Zack Snyder and an HBO sequel series. The less said about that, the better. It's also worth remembering that the Snyder film was accompanied by an animated short film adapting the Tales of the Black Freighter segments from the comic. So there's already a precedent for Watchmen getting the animated treatment. And let's not forget Watchmen Babies V for Vacation. What is this? Okay, I'm not familiar with this. Is this some kind of a parody? If so, I've never. Whoa. Oh, that was loud. Uh, what cares about Haunted Mansion? So, oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen this. The Simpsons episode that's got Alan Moore in it. Yeah, I know about that. I thought it was like some original like animated thing, like the Watchmen cartoon intro. If any of you've ever seen that, that's pretty funny. Okay, so are you excited for DC's next two animated movies? What animated heroes do you hope to see in Crisis? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Uh, okay, so I mean, I'm excited for that. The one thing about it is that they could really dive deep. It depends on how closely they're going to stick to the source material. I mean, I assume they're not going to just outright adapt the comic, issue for issue. I'm sure they'll pick and choose what they're going to do. It could be fun to see characters from other animated properties. Oh, here's J-Man. Hey,
How's it going?
okay. So, you excited for Crisis on Infinite Earths animated movie?
I mean, I sure. Why? I don't know. I don't. I don't. To me, it doesn't matter what's being made. Like, I don't care. Oh, we're gonna make this. We're gonna make that. Like, it's like okay. I'll check it out. If it's good, it's good. I'm wondering what it's all for. Like Crisis on Infinite Earths is a distinctly comic book event that mattered for comic books. I don't know if it matters for anything else. Like I don't know. I don't know. Like as a person who just likes anything, I'll be like, sure, I'll watch it and then I'll buy it and whatever. I buy everything. But like, what is if I'm a CEO or if I'm in charge of the DC property, right away, the first thing I would do is Superman, and I would announce nothing else. I wouldn't cast Hawk Girl. I wouldn't cast Metamorpho or Green Lantern or whoever. Like, what does any of this have to do with anything? It's like I would make a basic Superman movie and put as much cool things as I could into it. I would make it under 2 hours and put a lot of cool sci-fi elements. I would maybe play down the Lois and Clark relationship and make it very exciting so that a family can go watch it. And when kids leave the theater, they want to dress up as Superman and be Superman. That would be my number one goal. Forget everything else. Then see how that movie does and course correct if I need to. If people say, well, maybe there should have been more Lois and Clark interactions or there wasn't enough romance for the adults, okay, maybe add a bit more of that. If someone says, well, we want to see more action or, I don't understand this. Let's announce 4,000 things and what it's like. Crisis on Infinite Earths. No one gives a shit about it. Watchmen. We already have the Watchmen movie. I thought the Watchmen movie was actually the last Zack Snyder thing that he made that was like decent. So I don't why. And there's actually an animated comic book. What's that called?
Motion comic.
Motion. Yeah, I've got that. So I don't like okay. So who is this for? So when the Zack Snyder film came out, like nobody cared about that. So are people going to care now? And then they did that Watchmen TV show, which was just an abomination. I didn't even watch it. I don't like Watchmen, the Zack Snyder movie didn't come out 100 years ago where it's like, oh, we need an update of Watchmen. It's like, it's fine. Like that movie holds up fine. It doesn't have the squid, which I knew they weren't going to do anyways. So, right. I mean, the only thing that movie didn't do was have the squid. So what is this cartoon going to do? Like the cartoon's going to put the squid back? And I mean,
probably, yeah.
Like,
well, I think, it's interesting because when Crisis was originally done back in the mid 80s, the whole event was actually to serve a specific purpose,
right, to
sort of reformulate the universe. So doing it outside of that context, you can argue like, what's the point of it? I understand. But I just think what's going on here is that Warner Brothers is going to reliable, well-known storylines that they know people like and they know that people will buy. Because Watchmen, they're doing Watchmen because they know people will buy it because it's, people love that story. Now, I think I'm intrigued. I would rather it be like a mini series or something rather than a movie because how can you do the whole series, properly even as an animated film? Now, I do think it could be fun because they can do more of the look of the original novels, because obviously Zack Snyder's movie changed things.
Right.
So that'll be nice.
Yeah. So then the pitch is this. Okay. Hey, we're going to do Watchmen. Excuse me. Yeah. Well, it was already done by Zack Snyder. Okay. Yes. But we're going to make it a 12-part mini series, a 12-part animated series. It'll be one season. It'll be 12 episodes. Each episode will be 45 minutes or whatever. And it's going to be one episode to one issue of the comic, and it'll be the 12 issues. And that it's going to be super accurate because Zack Snyder didn't make it he made it 3.5 hours if you count the Black Freighter. So he made it 3.5 hours, but he couldn't do it exactly because of budget or because he didn't feel like it. But we're going to adapt it exactly as an animated series for 12 episodes. They're 45 minutes each or an hour each. And that's the pitch. And same with Crisis. We're going to do 12 issues of Crisis. It's going to have every stupid character ever in it. We're going to have 2 Supermans. We're going to have Supergirl die. We're going to have Barry out. We're going to have all the Flashes. We're going to have everything. But they're not doing that. So then, okay, well, what are you like? What is the point? Like All-Star Superman, the cartoon was really good. My only gripe was that why don't you just adapt all of it? And I mean, they could have made 2 movies out of it. Like they did The Dark Knight Returns, and they did that as a 2-part thing, and it ended up being like 4 hours or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like, what is the pitch here? Like Crisis. Okay. Who cares? It's like Crisis was just an event. It's not even it's not even that good. It's just like, I own the original issues. It's just like, oh, it's just there to be like, okay, we're going to merge all of our comics into one universe. And, won't that be easy for a few years until we bring the multiverse back again? So it's like, all right.
Yeah. And I do think, because they mentioned in the article, I think instead of doing like the actual original miniseries where you had Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth X, Earth 4 with the Charlton characters, they'll do something more like, you'll have whatever the mainstream animated universe is right now, and then they'll have like the Batman animated Bruce Timm style Earth, and then they'll do it based off of other animated properties they've done, not off of like the comic books.
Right.
And I mean that could be fun.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind that. But like I say, they'll probably really truncate the story because honestly, the thing with Crisis is if you weren't there collecting comics at that time and you kind of knew those characters, if you've got a new comic book reader that picks up Crisis on Infinite Earths now and tries to read it, they're going to be totally lost because they're not going to know what half of these characters are. They're going to be like, who's this guy? Who's that guy? So I don't think they could do that. As much as I would love to see them do that, I don't think that's what they'll do.
No, I don't know. And I feel like the crisis, they keep going to that as some sort of savior, like, oh, let's just do a crisis thing. It's like, but people are onto you. Like I had a buddy watch, so I'm getting some feedback now from other friends of mine who are not like me and see everything opening night. Like, so I got a couple of guys who have families. They both have two daughters, coincidentally, and they watched the Flash movie, and they don't have any context of multiverses or any of that. They're just like, well, they weren't into it that much. Like that's literally, it's like they just didn't care. So obviously you're not getting any young audiences involved. And then my two friends who are my age, one guy thought it was okay, and the other guy wasn't. It was just like, I don't really care. So I don't, and this is sort of where we're at with DC, at least, where it's like, yeah, is anyone going to see Blue Beetle besides me to review it on my stream or whatever, right? Like me, Sean, and Steven are going to go see it, obviously. Then we're going to live stream and be like, oh yeah, it was trash or whatever, right? It's like I'll go on Clobbering Times and he'll say it was trash. Like it's like it's just rinse and repeat with these movies. It's like I don't know, and I don't think an authority movie is gonna do. Oh, we're gonna do the authority. I don't care. Like okay, the authority. Like,
Yeah. And that's another thing. I almost that was one of the articles I kind of wanted to include, but I didn't. But there's an article, and the headline said that James Gunn, the reason they're putting all these characters into Superman is because Zaslav wants that. He wants more characters in because he thinks it's going to create more appeal or make it excite audiences more. And I'm just like, come on, man. I think it's just another indicator that they don't really have any confidence in their own product.
Right. So, yeah,
I've felt for a long time now that really, aside from Batman, Warner Brothers doesn't really have any confidence in DC characters and DC properties. I think they see them as, they just don't see the appeal of them. They don't see the appeal, and they don't know why people like them. They don't like them themselves. And so they don't have any confidence. And I think that's why they're putting all these other characters into Superman, because they're like, if we just do a Superman and that's it, not enough people are going to care. So we got to overload it with all these other characters.
Yeah, well, and then James Gunn should say, no, I'm not doing it, and leave. Because anytime that, like, just like Schumacher, just like all these guys' first instincts are like, well, no, I don't feel like doing this. Well, they're like, well, too bad. It's like, well, then I'm just effing done. Like, it's all it's going to do. Like, this is the same thing we have with all of these creators that come in. They don't see, Zack Snyder didn't care about the characters because he's like, I'm going to do my version of Superman. Well, your version of Superman hasn't been around since 1938. Your version of Superman's been around since never. So why are you so good? Why is your Superman supposed to be better? And they keep doing this kind of crap where it's like, we have to bow to the studio. Well, then just don't do the movie. Like, I would be like, if I came in and said, I'm going to do a whatever Superman movie, it's like, you either trust me or you don't. If you trust me, then shut the F up, and I don't want to hear from you. If you don't trust me, I'm leaving. It's like James Gunn doesn't need to go to DC. He's not a beggar. He can just do something else. And look, if this sucks and everyone hates it, they're going to blame him, and then they're going to go back to this Snyderverse garbage. It's like, I'm tired of it. And I don't know. Have you seen them? This is random, but I've seen this movie a bunch of times, but I watched it again this weekend. Have you seen Jodorowsky's Dune?
The documentary thing?
The documentary, yeah.
I've seen parts of it. I've never sat and watched the whole thing. I watched a couple of sections of it. Oh,
you need to watch the entire thing and then watch the 45 minutes of deleted scenes, because like it's brilliant. And literally Jodorowsky's like, he goes, I will cut my arms off to make Dune. He's like at this, he goes, if I had to die to make this movie, I would have died to make this movie, because I believed in it so much. Like, and he's not joking. He's not just saying it just to say stuff. Like, the people, like what he went through to get everyone together is insane. Like, his son was supposed to play Paul, and he literally put his son in like karate and jujitsu for 2 years of training, 6 hours a day for 2 years with sword fight training, knife fight training. The guy came out as a martial artist just to play Paul. He's like, no, I want my son to be the real Paul. I don't want him to just know the stunts. He's like, no, he's going to be Paul in every sense. It's like, oh, like this guy's insane. He's like, and people are like, they're like this guy. Like, I don't know if you know what the cast of that was going to be. Like, it's outrageous. Like he had them all lined up, like Mick Jagger, Salvador Dali, Orson
Right.
Welles, David Carradine. Who else did he have? I'm trying to think. Pink Floyd was going to do the music for one thing. He had H.R. Giger do all the designs for the Harkonnens. He had Chris Foss who designs those spaceships and the things. He had Mobius, right, the comic guy. Like it's like the team he had was incredible. Anyways, my point is that guy was willing to do anything. So that's what I want. Like this is what I want out of people now. I want someone to be like, no, I'm going to make Superman the damn best. If this is the last movie I ever make, this Superman movie is going to be the best thing I've ever done in my life. That's what I want. I don't want, I feel like pushing an agenda like Barbie or whatever, or I'm pretty much done. See, like I saw Oppenheimer, and that was literally, and I've seen documentaries on him and stuff, so I know a little bit. And Christopher Nolan is crazy. He got every detail that I've ever heard of is in this movie. Like, oh yeah, I remember when Truman told him this. That's in the movie. It's like, oh yeah, didn't he have an affair with that girl? Yeah, that's in the movie. Like the guy put every stupid thing you could possibly imagine from Oppenheimer. Like anything you've ever heard of that guy is in this movie.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
right?
I haven't seen that yet. I still need to see it.
Yeah, it's awesome. But like that's what I want. And you can dislike the movie. Like you can say, oh, it wasn't that good. That's fine. Then that's your opinion. I can't even review movies anymore. Like, what am I supposed to? How do I review Barbie? It doesn't even make sense within its own thing. Like, if you were going to make a propaganda movie about how Barbie's awesome and Ken's trash and men are garbage, then I would still write that with some coherency. Like, it still doesn't make any sense within its own film, right?
Right. Well, that's a common thing now. I mean, so often, like that's like Star Trek, current Star Trek, they do that stuff all the time where they will establish something and then contradict it, like a few episodes later or something. They can't even keep their own internal sort of rules or internal reality consistent.
Right. So they can't even write their prop. Like if someone said to me, hey, J-Man, I want you to write a movie about how men are trash and women are awesome, I would still come up with something better that makes sense, that's still kind of entertaining. And they can't even do that. They just have scenes upon scenes of them saying, oh, men are bad. It's like She-Hulk. It's like every other scene was, oh, men are trash. I'm like, but why are they trashing the scene? What did they do? Well, they're just there. But you're not even showing me why they're bad. it's like have them do bad things then or something. Like, I don't, it's like these two guys walk over and they're like, hey ladies, did you want a drink? Oh, how dare you approach us? It's like, well, you're in a bar, you're dressed up nicely and you're in a bar. It's like, well, we're trying to work here. Well, why are you doing law work? This isn't She-Hulk. Why are you doing law work in a bar, like in a singles bar? Like it's just like stupid, right? Like I don't know. I can't. God, it's just so awful. I don't know. Like Hollywood sucks, and Disney's brutal. It's really crazy. And I watch classic films every weekend. Like today, we watch Grand Hotel from 1932. We watch a classic.
Oh, really?
We watch. Yeah, I have a massive film collection, but also a massive classic Hollywood collection. So we try to watch a couple of black and white movies, or at least some kind of classic. Like last week was Fiddler on the Roof. So we try to, that's not black and white, but whatever. Anyways, you know what I'm saying? And you watch these and you're like, my God, I just watched Grand Hotel today. And like Barbie is out. And you're just like, God, like we're going from like Greta Garbo, Joan Crawford to like fucking this trash cinema. You're just like, I can't, it's not even like Trauma or like, I like the Terrifier movies where it's like kind of like schlock cinema, but they know they're doing schlock. So they're just having fun with it. It's like Barbie is just like, it's just, I think that they think they made a good movie.
Oh yeah, sure. They think they're brilliant. Think they in their minds, they're they're saving lives, J-Man. They are saving lives. Yeah, it puzzles me how like the shows now, like live action shows now, like this Barbie or like some of the Marvel streaming stuff, they're more childish and more immature than the cartoons that I watched when I was a kid, that were directed at little kids. I don't know. It's hard to define how they're so full of themselves and they fill these things with, all this content that really isn't probably appropriate for a kid, being, you know, sexual content, what have you. Yet at
Right.
the same time, the shows are so dumb and so silly, and it's just weird how they pull that off. I don't know how they do it.
Well, they're not doing so now. You heard they're not doing the He-Man film or whatever. Okay,
Yeah, right.
why is so? He-Man's one of my big things, right? That's my logo, right? Okay, so why is it so difficult to do He-Man? Like, I was thinking about doing a video. Like, Hollywood has now overcomplicated everything. It's He-Man. It's a guy. It's a big, strong guy. It's a little guy who becomes a big, strong guy and fights a skeleton wizard. Like, why is this so damn hard to do? And you have to remember too that like it's like, and what you're saying is absolutely right. It's like, okay, if we look at the He-Man cartoon or Transformers cartoon or Thundercats or G.I. Joe or whatever, it's like they're there to sell toys, right? But you sell toys by making characters that kids really want to play with, and then they go and buy the toys so that they can play when the cartoon is not on. The He-Man cartoon cannot run 24/7, so kids can't be constantly entertained. So the trick is that you do a 30-minute program where the kid watches it and gets so excited about what's happening on screen, he wants to replicate it, you know, in his own living room with toys that he controls. That's the trick of it. So this Barbie film, so this Barbie film, what is it? There's only two possibilities for this for a Barbie film. One, it's a celebration of Barbie, so it's a celebration of the brand. So you've got the Barbie dream house, the car, the you know, all these Barbie things that we all heard about as kids, and you can have different Barbies, like she's lawyer Barbie and she's nurse Barbie and she's doctor and she's a flight attendant or whatever. So it's a celebration of all things Barbie, where it brings little girls and their moms who also played with it because it's generational. You bring all those kids and parents together to watch this kind of celebration of Barbie, or it's going to be a brand, it's going to be a sales movie, right? So like for us, like what's here's a good example. The Wizard. Remember the Fred Savage Wizard where they're playing the Nintendo games?
The movie?
Yeah, the movie The Wizard, where Fred Savage, he's got the brother who's kind of like autistic and they play video games and stuff.
I vaguely remember it.
Okay, so see, for me, that was one of these kinds of movies where it came out and it was literally a Nintendo commercial and it debuted Super Mario Brothers 3. I'm like, wow, Mario 3, wow, I got to get that. And it was kind of like a half decent, I like the movie, but it's like a half decent movie about these kids. They go to a video game contest and they win and they play Nintendo games. So it was a Nintendo commercial. So if this is a Barbie commercial, you would think that they'd be promoting Barbie as this great thing, but the film itself doesn't actually know what to do with Barbie. So it's like, is it making fun of Barbie? It's like the filmmakers that do these things now. This happened with Indiana Jones. This happened with, what's another one? Anything recent, where the filmmakers try to distance themselves from the product and they're like, right. We know Indiana Jones. Well, it's kind of goofy, right? Because it's based on those old serials and nobody likes those anymore. So we're still kind of giving you action, but we're kind of poking fun at it as well. It's like, yeah, but now you're just pissing me off. So I don't know. Like, does Barbie, so at the end of this film, am I supposed to walk out thinking, oh, I really wish my daughter would get into the Barbie dolls because I'd love to buy and play Barbie with her? Or am I thinking Barbie sucks? Like, I mean, I don't, because the filmmakers themselves don't know what to do with it. It's like,
so they do that with Barbie too in this movie, because they've been doing that with, you know, Star Wars and all these superhero properties for a long time now, for years now, where they, you know, they clearly kind of hold this stuff almost in contempt.
Right.
But the stuff's popular, it sells, and so they want to glom onto it so that they can share in the success. But they can't bring themselves to really embrace it. So it's, like you say, it's they kind of hold it at arm's length and kind of poke fun at it, like, you know, at the same time, while they're also trying to get you excited and get you to go see their movie.
And it tricked people.
But I always thought it was just because these are like boy brands. But you're saying they do that with Barbie too.
Oh, for sure. I watched an extensive review. It was like a 45-minute review where the person like literally dissected the entire film. But like, look, let's look at, like, this is going to be a weird example, but it's one for me because I love horror movies. When they did Freddy versus Jason. Now, I don't know if you've seen all the Nightmares and all the Friday 13th.
I've seen. Well, I don't know if I've seen every single Nightmare.
Right. Okay.
but I've seen Jason versus Freddy. I've seen that.
Okay, so I have a book which is the entire making of Freddy versus Jason leading up. Like at one point, they were gonna have like it was like a cult of the Fred heads where they worship Freddy and they're trying to bring him back. And then they were gonna at one point they're even gonna have them like actually in a boxing ring. At one point was thrown out as a concept. There was gonna actually be a court case like Freddy versus Jason, like almost like a court case thing. So they had all these weird ideas, and they ended up getting the guy who did The Bride with White Hair, which I'm now completely blanking on his name. But anyways, the guy he's a Chinese film maker, and I forgot his name. I'll remember it after. I'll Google it. But so that guy came on board, and they're like, "Well, let's get this guy." And he's like, "Okay." So the first thing he did was he watched every single Nightmare on Elm Street movie and made a bunch of notes. Then he watched every Friday 13th movie, made a bunch of notes, and said, what are the things that the people who love Freddy want to see? Well, they want to see dream killing. They want to see him like, morphing to different creatures and scaring the people in their dreams and killing them in the beds. And, so they wake up and they're dead. And and then the Jason people are going to want to see Jason killing these high teens who are oversexed and, like, really brutal ways, like like stabbing them through the gut and ripping them open or cutting them in half, or like the kind of the really brutal way. Like Freddy's killings are more like cerebral, right? Like he messes with you, and whereas Jason is just like rips your arms off or something.
Right.
So that's what he made notes on. And then he made he's like, well, here's how it's going to be. It's going to be there's going to be a bunch of Jason kills. There's going to be a bunch of Freddy kills. Then they're just going to kick the shit out of each other, and that's your movie. I'm like, right. Don't overcomplicate this.
Exactly. It's not that hard, folks.
That's right. It's like, it's not that hard. Like, what are you overthinking? I want to see, like, literally the poster, they put a picture of Freddy and they put a picture of Jason. They put a big VS in between. I'm like, that's it. That's exactly what I effing want from this. I saw it 3 times in the theater. And I'm like, I just want to see Freddy fight Jason. I have a bunch of Freddy kills. I have a bunch of Jason kills. And they kick the shit out of each other at the end. That's it. Why are we pretending that this is something other than what it is? It's like, this is Barbie. Just make it a silly movie.
I remember seeing it at the time, in the theater, and I walked out, and I mean, I wouldn't say I loved it, but I enjoyed it. But I remember thinking that the movie delivered, because it was like, I wanted to see Jason fight Freddy. They gave me that. I got exactly what I wanted out of this movie.
Yeah, and they fought in the dream world. And then he pulls them out of the dream world. Then they fought in the real world, right? Like, I mean, it's exactly. I mean, I don't understand. It's 100 minutes or whatever it is. It's like the first hour is the bullshit stuff. The first like 20 minutes is setting everything up. Then there's like 30 minutes of just random people getting killed in dumb ways or whatever. And then they got a half an hour of them fighting at the end. It's like, right, that's it. What? And for casual people, like, you're a casual fan, so you're like, oh, that was kind of okay. And for me, who's a hardcore fan, I loved it. So that's it. Why is this so difficult? Like, apply that formula to everything. It's like, I want to see Prince Adam. He turns to He-Man. And he fights Skeletor. What is going on? How can this be this complicated? It's like, there's no politics to it. Skeletor is a bad guy. Oh, but let's get deeper. Why is he bad? Well, he's bad because he's evil. But why is he evil? because he is. That's it. It's like, well, you can introduce the brother. He was Keldor and all this other crap. Even that, I'm like, that was cool. But like, really, it's like, I want to see He-Man fighting Skeletor. I don't need their backstories. It's like, why is Skeletor evil? Why is Prince Adam good? Well, because, why is why is King Randor good? It's like, well, I don't know. Right. No, nobody questions these things. It's like, why is Lois Lane good? Well, what made Lois Lane good? Well, let's get into her backstory. Like, were her parents nice to her? Like, it's just stupidness. Like, nobody thinks about this in the other way. It's like, it's always like we have to explain everything. It's like, I just want to see, a Barbie movie where it's fun. My niece or my niece can go see it and be like, wow, that was a fun movie. That's it.
Well, I think part of the thing you have to get to when having this kind of discussion is the people who are making this stuff, because they, again, as we kind of addressed, they don't really like this stuff.
Right.
And they don't like us, people like us who like this stuff. It's
right.
like, look at what Marvel's doing with the Punisher.
Right.
They're changing that character, and they're basically just doing it to spite the fans.
Right.
Like the Punisher. And that's what fuels a lot, or pushes a lot of this, where they add in all these other elements, and they want to, I don't know, tinker with it in all these different ways. And it's basically because they just don't want to, they don't like the property as it is, and they want to make it something more along that fits their taste more than what we like. I think that's just a lot of it. It's really
This is
annoying.
why I know they keep saying if you go woke or no, whatever, go woke, go broke or whatever it is. The reason for that is that you can't. Okay, so I love Punisher. He's one of my faves. I got a statue, got some toys, whatever, right? So I have the War Journal, the complete run. That was the last time I complete ran or whatever you want, whatever it is. That's the last time I got the complete series of any Punisher thing. Because it's like after that, I just didn't care that much. And then, they had Garth Ennis, and also I didn't really care about that either. And then it's just like, yeah, I don't care about any of this stuff. So it's like, oh, there's a new Punisher. Okay, I'm not buying it. It looks like shit. It's not Punisher. Well, you should buy it because it's Punisher, but it's not. You're clearly making it not for me. And if you're not making it for me, who are you making it for? Because out of all of our group, including Clobber Times and Phantom Outsider and all the guys in the chat and Sean and Steve and all these guys, maybe you as well. I'm the only one of any of us that I know, unless you have a collection, that has all the Punisher. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I'm the only Punisher guy. So if you're not making it for me, who are you making it for? Because Clobber Times doesn't care about Punisher. He's like, I don't really care about that guy. He's more a vigilante. He's not for me. It's like Steven doesn't really care, right? Sean got a couple of issues. He's like, yeah, he's cool, but doesn't care that much, right? Yeah, so it's like, who are you making it for?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Punisher. I mean, right. He's okay. I like him in doses, but I generally have not bought a lot of Punisher comics myself.
Right. So are you going to buy them now?
No.
Right. So what happened? So see, but classic. But what happened, dude? Because this is a new Punisher. See, don't you get it? It's new. It's like, it's not happening. My mom is not going to watch Star Trek, no matter how you paint it up. She thinks it's boring. All Star Trek. It's like, oh, but look, JJ's making it more action packed. She's like, it looks boring. She doesn't care. My mom likes her drama shows and her classic films. That's it.
Does she like musicals? Because apparently they're going to do a musical episode of
Star Trek. No, but she's not going to watch it. If the words Star and Trek appear next to each other, she's not gonna. She doesn't care. She doesn't hate it, but it's like, for me, Sex in the City. I don't care how you redress that. I'm not watching it. Like, I have zero interest in that show. I don't care who tells me. It's like, my wife doesn't like it. I don't like it. I have zero interest. It's like, oh, but we're going to do a new Sex in the City where there's going to be some horror elements because, J-Man, you like horror movies, so we're going to make it more like a slasher Sex in the City. It's like, really? Is it going to be as gory as Terrifier 2? No. Well, then I'm not watching it. Like, are people going to get ripped in half? No. Well, then I'm not watching it. So, like, they keep redressing this stuff to attract who? What new She-Hulk fans are there? There's a She-Hulk comic out right now.
It's for modern audiences, J-Man.
Yeah, it's for modern audiences who do that. My favorite was, I'll say this really quickly. Okay, so Dial of Destiny. I hated that movie. I went to work, and my HR representative, who I talk to all the time, she's cool. Her friend, so this is her friend. Her friend saw it. She's like, well, my friend saw Indiana Jones and thought it was cool. Like, she thought it was pretty fun. And I said, perfect. I said, okay, is your friend going to buy the movie posters, the books, the comic books, the Funko Pops, the soundtracks on CD, the 4K Blu-rays? Is she going to buy the new, Black Series, whatever they're called, the toys, which I pre-ordered? Is she going to buy that? Is she going to buy the Staff of Ra headpiece ornament thing? And she's like, no. I'm like, exactly. So your friend doesn't count for shit. Okay, your friend loved Dial of Destiny or liked Dial of Destiny. Is she going to even buy that movie on 4K? Just that one movie that she saw and liked. It's like, no, my friend doesn't buy movies. Right. So your friend means nothing. She went to go see a movie on a Friday night because they were bored with her friends, and she came back and thought it was okay. That's not a fan base. It's like, your friend's opinion doesn't matter. Sure, I can watch anything and be like, well, that was okay. It's like, I don't know. I can't think of a movie where I went and thought that was okay. And then it's like, are you going to buy anything or buy the movie? It's like, no. It's like, I thought it was okay, and I'm done. Indiana Jones is like a franchise property. It's like, there's toys and stuff. It's like, is she buying the toys? No. Well, then who cares? Like, I have to leave the theater. Like, what's an example I can give that? I'd say like maybe Infinity War. I saw Infinity War. I came out of the theater and I immediately drove to Toys R Us. And I was like, oh, I got to get some of these figures, right? It's like, immediately I'm like, oh, I got to pick up that Strange figure looks wicked. I bought that. That Iron Man looks pretty good. I'm going to get the Iron. So I ended up buying 3 or 4 figures. I don't remember which ones they were now, right? Right. And then after I saw Eternals, I threw up. I didn't run to Toys R Us and buy all the Eternals toys. Like, in fact, I could still buy them because they're still there.
You didn't even buy the non-binary one.
Mm-mm.
You didn't want that.
No, well, it's so confused on what it wants to be that they kept changing the price. There was no binary price on it, so
Well, I think because I mean, you point out like these people they're appealing to, they're discarding this built-in. The whole reason they want these properties is because they have this built-in fan base,
right,
and then they deliberately make the stuff to more or less despite the built-in fan base and pivot to this other audience that they think is gonna support the stuff
right,
and buy all the merch and all that. And I think they were maybe starting to figure that out before Barbie came out, because Barbie's apparently opening huge and it's going to make a ton. So I'm afraid that any headway that kind of thinking might have made here in the last few months with the disappointment of Ant-Man and the Flash and Shazam and all that and Indiana Jones and all that, I'm afraid that's all going to get washed away now, unfortunately.
yeah, we won't. The problem is, yeah, we won't see effects because they've turned this. The marketing on this Barbie was really good, as you said. Even it's like people, we've been fooled before. But the thing is, it's like women, the people going to see this really truly think. Because I was at Oppenheimer opening, like Thursday night opening, the first showing or whatever, and they actually gave you a 70 millimeter film cell from the movie. It was pretty awesome. Anyways, but I saw a lot of women there, all dressed in pink and all that, and it became an event. It's like, oh, we should go see Barbie and dressed in pink and all that. So they really did a good job in
right. It's
in
like a
getting people
Marvel
in
movie
there.
for chicks or a Star Wars
Right.
movie for chicks.
Yeah.
And every female on the freaking planet is going to go see this thing. Even if they wind up coming out not liking it that much, they're still going to go and plunk down their money for it because they don't want to be the only female in their little friend group or whatever that didn't see the Barbie movie,
Right.
and can't talk about it.
Yeah. And they're not even going to realize, I think, like the little girls will definitely be like, this is boring because it's too long anyways.
How long is it?
It's 2 hours.
2 hours?
2 hours, which is really too long for like, okay, the problem with Barbie is that you have to be very, very, very clever to write a film on Barbie because Barbie actually isn't a character. Barbie is just really a naked doll that you apply clothes to create a character. That's the point of Barbie, is that you can make it yourself. Like if you want to be a doctor, like let's say you're a little girl and you're like, oh, I like medicine, or I want to be a nurse or something.
She's like a template.
She's a template, right? And
things on.
Right. And then you buy you can get different skin tones of Barbie. So within this film, Barbie, that like Margot Robbie's Barbie, has to find the person that's playing with her in the real world. So each Barbie has a counterpart in the real world, which is a real person playing with her. And it turns out that it's actually a Latino girl who's playing with the Margot Robbie Barbie. But right there is a problem, because wouldn't the Latino mom buy the Latino Barbie for her daughter? So wouldn't the Latino actress be the one who has to go to the real world to find her? Like right off the bat, like this is the premise, and you're like, well, that's already weird. So anyways, and even if you could say, well, sure, any race of person can play with any race of doll, right? However, that doesn't go with the thing that you're pushing. That's what I'm saying. They've already made a mistake in their agenda. The whole point of having Latino Barbie is so that, Latino girls can see themselves as Barbie. But then you went against that in the movie because it's a Latino girl playing with a white Barbie. This is what I'm saying. They don't even know how to write the thing themselves. But anyways, so am I supposed to walk away thinking, I should buy Barbie toys? Like, and if it's a movie that's so here's one more example real quick. There's in the movie, they go to the CEOs of Mattel. It's Will Ferrell and it's all men. It's literally, I don't know, it's like 10 guys who run Mattel, and they're like, Barbie's escaped from Barbie world, we have to stop her. And then they're all the bad guys. In reality,
here's the thing. I guarantee you, if you saw the actual board of directors of Mattel,
5 of them are women.
It'll be at least half women.
It is. It's 6 men and 5 women. Yeah, it's 6. So in reality right now, real life right today, it's 6 men and 5 women. So the movie's lying immediately. Like you're like, yeah, but the real directors
They
is
constantly these feminist shows and everything. They push this idea like as if we're still in like the 1950s or
yeah,
something,
we can't Google this thing.
where women are basically chained to their stoves and
Right.
can't leave the house.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's
The,
ridiculous.
the creator of Barbie, whatever her name was, she ran Mattel for 30 years or something. So like she like
Oh, really?
what are you, yeah. Oh yeah. Like Barbie is number one. Barbie's number one, man. That's Mattel's like lifeline.
It's like
And then
it's like with comics, when you've got all these females in comics now who every time they do anything, they're like walking on the freaking moon or something.
yeah, we're the
They're
first
doing
people to
this
ever.
thing. And friggin' Jeanette Kahn was running DC back in the friggin' 80s.
Yeah, like what? Right. What are you talking about? My favorite was
She
Star Trek.
was president of DC in the 80s. It's like that was 30, 40 years ago. A woman was running the company.
Right.
And
So
yet
your
every
little
time a woman does anything, they're like, "Oh, women in comics," like it's this breakthrough thing.
yeah, I saw
Oh,
one for
it's so
Star
annoying.
Trek where they're like, oh, the women of Star Trek or whatever, and it was like, and I don't know who the characters are, but it was like, I guess, is it Michael? Is that the girl's name from the black girl from
Michael
Discovery?
Burnham. Yeah.
Yeah. So they showed her picture and they showed two others. I don't know, and I'm like, where's Janeway? They didn't have Kate Mulgrew on there. I'm like, well, where's the Jane? Where like they showed all of the females from these current shows, like, oh, paving the way for women or something. Like, what about Janeway? Like, is she not important in this? It's like, no, because she's not, even though she is the first female captain, she's not the first female captain anymore because these new people are now the first. It's like, you realize we have Google, right? And we can like see, it's like, people are not this dumb. The board of directors thing is really funny. It's like, oh, it's all men. Oh, you see that? Mattel's run by men. It's like, except that it's not. And also, if it is, then if it's all being run by evil men, why is this movie even being made? Like, wouldn't the
Right.
Mattel producers just say we're not making the movie then because it's exposing us? Like, it's so bad that like we are not this dumb. Now, the people who I saw going to see Barbie, maybe they are that dumb because they're going to walk up and be like, oh, it's just a fun movie. Who cares? It's like, I know, but like it's sending the wrong brand impression because like kids pick up on this. They're going to just be like, oh, this is boring. Maybe Barbie is boring. Like I don't know. That's what I would think.
It'll be interesting to see how this affects sales of the toys. They'll probably see a bump, but it'll be interesting
They
to see
will.
how much.
Yeah, it'll bump for now. Just like Transformers, that always goes like people keep making fun of and I don't like the Michael Bay Transformers movies at all. But they're like, oh, the Transformers movies, they all suck. Literally, Hasbro doesn't care. They make a movie to bring the awareness back, and then the toys sell like gangbusters. Like, I can't find anyone from this movie. I go to Walmart and Toys R Us once a week minimum, and sometimes like multiple times a week to Toys R Us. And the only Transformer I got from this Rise of the Beasts was Air Razor, which is the I don't know if you know Transformers. It's the it's like the eagle. It's Michelle Yeoh's character, the eagle. Okay. That's it. So from this Transformers Rise of the Beasts, like you saw the Transformers in it, there's like 9 or 10 of them. I could not find, and I mean the premium figures, like the good figures, not the little dinky ones that are like $10 and they kind of suck, right? Like the good ones. I could not find any. I got Air Razor. That is it. Nothing else. They're all gone. And they're gone. I'm like, when are these nerds getting these toys? Like, I'm here all the time. Like, I'm here when I'm there. I'm the first guy into Toys R Us when it opens, and they're gone. So it's like people are. So it doesn't matter what this movie makes. Oh, everyone hates Michael Bay's Transformer movies. Hasbro doesn't care. As long as there's a film with the word trans and former in it, that's all that matters because the toys immediately sell out. So it's like they're making $1 billion off the toys. So they don't care about the movie. But I don't know about Barbie. I think Barbie, the brand, is so big that it doesn't matter. Like this movie can't hurt it. But
maybe, yeah.
People are going to pretend it's good. And I've already seen a couple of, and this is my other thing. Oh, I'll give it a 3 out of 5 or it was okay. No, I'm not. No, it's garbage. It's like I gave that Dial of Destiny a 2 out of 10. No, I gave it a 1 out of 10. It's like, this movie's garbage. Like, I'm not giving it a pass anymore.
Well, I think, that was directed by Greta Gerwig is the
Barbie, right? Yeah.
Directed this, and she's doing a Narnia movie
Yeah. Oh God,
or
man,
series.
Narnia.
Let me. I'm going to bring an article up about that right quick and kind of.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, that's a nightmare. Because Narnia, I actually like the Narnia movies that were coming out. I thought they were kind of fun, and then they just kind of stopped.
Okay, so this is from Variety. Greta Gerwig is, quote, properly scared of directing Narnia movies after Barbie. I'm terrified of it. It's extraordinary, she says. So, although rumors have circulated online for several months, it wasn't until a recent New Yorker profile that confirmation arrived regarding Greta Gerwig tackling the Chronicles of Narnia film adaptations for Netflix. Gerwig is reportedly attached to direct 2 movies based on the famous C.S. Lewis fantasy novels. So I would guess Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe and Prince Caspian, probably.
Right.
I haven't really started wrapping my arms around it, but I'm properly scared of it, which feels like a good place to start. Gerwig told Total Film Podcast about entering Narnia. I think when I'm scared, it's always a good sign. When maybe I stop being scared, it'll be like maybe I shouldn't do that one. I'm terrified of it. It's extraordinary and exciting. And the thing is, with the success of Barbie, they're going to give her carte blanche. They're going to let her do whatever she wants with this. Given the rave reviews and huge box office projections for Barbie, it appears Gerwig already knows how to crack the code of bringing beloved IP to the big screen. You see, and that's the thing, is that they're going to think, oh, well, this is what we need to do. Yeah, I don't understand Hollywood's thinking sometimes, but
Mm-hmm.
yet they're going to look at this success with Barbie and they're going to say, "Oh well, wokeness works. People like woke." No, it's Barbie. It's a Barbie movie. People like the IP, you
Yeah.
know. And and and
Yeah.
Barbie as an IP and Narnia are 2 very different fucking things. And if you're going to do the same approach with both of them, it's not going to go well.
Yeah.
Uh, it appears, where was I? Narnia will mark her fantasy debut. 3 Narnia films were released. Yeah, we know about those. Uh, I hope to make all different kinds of movies in the course of time. I get to make movies, which it's a long time, but it's also limited. Corwig said on the podcast about trying her hand at indies and also large scale fantasy movies. I want to do things and small things and everywhere in between. And having a big canvas is exciting. When asked about helming a Bond movie, oh, Jesus, God help me. Gerwig said, "Oh my God, we're going to just stick with some lions and some dolls for the moment. You never know. I really like Bond producer Barbara Broccoli, so God, that's probably coming though. We're going to get some hardcore feminist version of Bond somewhere down the line."
Yeah. It'll
Oh
all look
God.
everyone will look back on this and on this time period and just be like, it was so awful. It will eventually pass, but there's going to be a lot of money lost and a lot of like, things ruined before. I mean, there's so everything is pretty much like it doesn't even affect me anymore. Like I literally don't care if they just make a garbage Narnia. I'm like, okay, I have the original books, so I've got the whole set, and I don't care. And you've noticed that on my channel too. I've gotten away from doing a lot of these. Like I didn't do any of the Indiana Jones streams. I just don't care. I've gone back to just doing the comics that I like, and that's it. And actually, it's funny too because when I'm looking at my views and I'm like, well, I'm getting I got more views on my Supergirl. Like I just randomly bought an adventure comics with Supergirl in it, and I reviewed that, and I got like double the reviews than the current Superman comic that had come out. You know what I mean? Like a comic from like decades ago got more views,
The
and it's
one where she's where the
the
guy's like
boyfriend.
the Chad is like negging
Yeah,
her and stuff like that.
yeah, I got more views on that than I got on the most recent Superman comic review, and I'm like, okay, like why am I even bothering? Like this is why I did that whole thing. I'm like, why am I even bothering with this crap anymore? Like
Yeah,
nobody wants it.
yeah, interest in I think current comics is just really bad. You know, I've when I do current comics, do videos on that's one of the reasons why I don't do more is they generally don't do that well. I
Mm-hmm.
think there's just apathy that's set in. They've driven away most of the audience. You know, they've driven
Mm-hmm.
away most of the audience that actually cares about this stuff.
Yeah.
And I know there are some that do. I do see some channels where they'll have the latest issue of, Harley Quinn or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, this is great" or whatever. But the vast majority, it seems like, have just kind of quit and moved on and don't care anymore,
Yeah.
And it's just, I
Those are collectors. I'm on every Wednesday. I go on this guy's channel where it's like, show us what you got on Wednesdays. And like, I end up showing like, one or two things. And whatever I buy usually is not what everyone else bought. Like, I'm like, I'm showing Spawn because I still like my Spawns. So I show a couple of Spawns and a couple of things. And then I'll show something like I just bought a couple of volumes of Operator 5. I don't know if you like those old pulps, if you like those pulp characters like
Operator
Shadow and all that.
5. I haven't heard of Operator 5.
Oh, he's awesome. So Secret Service, what's his name? It's Secret Service Operator number 5. So I just got number 3 and 4. 3's in the mail. I just got number 4 today. I'm currently reading number 2 right now. I'm halfway through book 2. He's like a James Bond. He's a Secret Service agent, whatever. So it's the same as anything else. But I think Spider's my favorite. But I love Doc Savage and the Avenger, and I like Shadow and the generic guys everyone likes. But I think my favorite is the Spider. But I think like Operator 5. I'm only on book 2, but goddamn, it's pretty awesome. Anyway. So it's like, I'll show weird stuff like that. And everyone's like, oh my God. Or I'll show some manga I got from my wife or something. And they're like, wow, this is so cool. And it's like, I get more reactions because it's like, oh, look, everyone's like, look, we bought Star Wars. Here's the latest issue of whatever. Here's the latest. And it's like, yeah, I don't care about any of this stuff. It's like, the only new comics I care about is Spawn. And there's a Fire and Ice comic coming out, brought out by the Frazetta girls. And they did Dawn Attack and they did Mothman and they did Death Dealer,
Right.
But now they're doing Fire and Ice, and oh hell yeah, I'll be getting that for damn sure. And a new Red Sonja started and Conan starting up again, so I'll maybe grab those. But it's like stuff like everyone's like, oh, I picked up Star Wars. I'm like, yeah, no. And they always said, and every time it comes to my turn, I'm like, yeah, I'm allergic to Marvel comics. I can't buy any. I'll always buy Superman because it's Superman and I don't care. Like, I don't care if it sucks or not. I'm still buying Superman. I will not stop Superman. And so that it is what it is. But anything else is like, yeah, Batman I stopped. Like Robin, Nightwing, like all those guys. Hey Brian, what's going on?
Hey,
when
Brian.
I see the Fire and Ice buddy, I'll be getting that like immediately and probably a few covers. So I'll definitely review that for sure.
So you're you mentioned pulp, so that's those Strong Arm audio plays you did.
Oh yeah, that was I love the audios.
Yeah, those have a real pulp flavor. How'd you wind up doing those?
Well, I love radio shows. Everyone loves The Shadow, which is great. I've got about 200 plus episodes of The Shadow, and I've got I think all of the Superman ones. And but I actually really liked Blue Beetle. There's only I think 24 episodes of Blue Beetle. You can find all this for free on YouTube. So I really like Blue Beetle, the Blue Beetle audio adventures. I thought I want to do an audio adventure. And so I came up with the idea of Strong Arm, who's got like a robotic arm. And I was like, let's do it. So I was like, Sean, you want to be in it? It's like, sure. And Steve, you want to do it? And then I'd get people from my work to just do the voices, and we all recorded our parts separately.
Really?
So I just gave Steve like his 30 lines. It's like, read these 30 lines. And then I had to put them all together to make it sound like we're all talking to each other. The only reason I think there's only 5 episodes because it's really hard to put sound effects and music and dialogue that's not even recorded on the same day in the same room back to back. Like I have to, and if there's 5 characters, that's 5 people that just sent me their lines of dialogue that I have to put in order and trim. And, if we're cutting off each other, I have to like overlay them. You know how it is with editing. I'm like, this is just, I was like, yeah, it's just brutal. But I love radio shows. Like Shadow's awesome, obviously.
So what, let me ask, what program or like software were you using for the audio, like editing and mixing?
I don't know what it's called. It's called Director. It came free on my computer, but it's like Director or something. I have Final Cut Pro, but I have Final Cut Pro for Mac, and I don't have a Mac anymore, and I never got it again. And I just so I was just using that. But Sean, for some reason, everyone has iPhones, but Sean didn't have an iPhone at the time, so I don't know what the hell he was recording on. But his audio always sounded crappy. But I'm like, it fits in with the radio show because it's just crappy anyways. So, but I want to write the Strong Arm I want to do the Strong Arm stories as a book. So I've got
And
my
you
3 books published right now. I'll do my 4th book. It might be Strong Arm. Actually, no, my 4th one's gonna be something else. Then I'm gonna do Strong Arm.
okay? And you've done. There's 5 of the strong armors. I've
I
listened to
think
the
so.
first 3, I think. So I'll listen to the other 2 tonight. But
I
yeah,
think
those are
there's
fun. I enjoyed them.
yeah, I like the. I think the 5th one was awesome because I got my godbrother who actually. Um, so we used to work in like we used to do movies and stuff, and we filmed. I've filmed so many movies on my own, just like me and my friends, like Sean and Steve, and those guys are in it. We've done horror movies and action movies, and I've been doing movies since I was 16. And we went to like I met the guys in kind of at York University for film school, and we did some stuff there. But and Sean and I worked at a TV studio for a while. I mean volunteered, cough cough, and we did a bunch of stuff there. So anyway, but we're like, oh, let's do some, let's do something. So that's how we would just randomly come up with stories. And I have so many superhero ideas, and then I just thought, you know what, I'm just gonna write them out because anything else just doesn't work. I can't like because people would say, well, what, I would do Spy Smasher. If I had to do a superhero, I would pick Spy Smasher because that's my favorite serial. I would make a Spy Smasher movie. I would love to do Yor, the Hunter from the Future. I'd love to do a remake of Yor, but nobody wants to see my version because like my version of Yor would be super violent, gritty, barbarian style, like Conan the Barbarian, which Schwarzenegger is my favorite movie of all time. That's what fantasy is to me. That's what sword and sorcery is. You know,
Uh-huh.
there's 2 types. There's Lord of the Rings, like Tolkien, or Robert E. Howard. You're one of those 2 things, right? I don't like this like, oh, we're being Marvel, like this fun, like how they did the Dungeons and Dragons movie, which I didn't think was all that bad, but it's like, why is everything so goofy? Like,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah,
you know,
cutesy kind of tongue in cheek kind of. Again,
yeah,
it's this kind of holding things at like arm's length and being like, we like this, but we don't like it too much. Not enough to take it seriously.
yeah. Like
Yeah,
Peter
that's the
Jackson was
point.
crazy. Peter Jackson's like, I'm going to make this. And I like Hobbit, the Hobbit. I know some people are against the Hobbit. To me, I got 3 extended Hobbit movies. I'm good with that because they were all awesome. And the Lord of the Rings, obviously, those 3 are awesome too. So those 6 movies are crazy. At least they're all serious. There's nothing woke in it. There's nothing stupid in it. They're just normal fantasy, epic adventures. That's it. And it's like, I mean, and then with Conan, it's like, yeah, you've got hardcore. This guy's like, look, this is a brutal world. It's like people get, beheaded, families get destroyed, villages get burned down, kids are sent to the, to pit fights and stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's what I want. Either you do high adventure, like Lord of the Rings, where it's just epic adventuring, like let's go on to different lands and find things, or you do Conan. Now, I guess Dungeons and Dragons should be more like Lord of the Rings, where it's more adventuring rather than like, Conan
Well,
just went
I don't know
around.
about that because, Gary Gygax, he was very specific in that he was not a big fan of Lord of the Rings. He was supposed to
Right.
be a fan of like Robert E. Howard and of Sword and Sorcery and that sort of thing. And the game is really more set up for that kind of storytelling, for that kind of episodic type of stuff rather than long sort of continuing epic
Right.
narratives.
Yeah. So they should have done it like that. Like, I wanted to see Conan the Barbarian. Like that movie changed me, and then that's what I want to see from. I like Sword and Sorcery. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see this half-assed attempt at stuff. Like embrace it, jump right in. Like if I was gonna do I would do Yor because that one's a lesser known one, and I could do what I want, and I have some cool ideas to update that story. And I would get Red Brown to come back and play the dad or something. Like I want to pay tribute to the original movie because I love it. But I would do it like nobody wants to see my version. My version is going to have nudity. It's going to have brutal fights with creatures. Like creatures, their limbs are going to get chopped off. Whatever. Yours going to use an axe and kick the crap out of people. And there's going to be beheadings and massive battle. It's like I don't like this. Like, oh, it's going to be fun and it's everyone's being silly and goofy and cute. And it's like, oh look, I can't do magic. It's like, well then why are you on the? I saw the Dungeons and Dragons movie and the guy's like, oh, I can't do magic. I'm like, well, why are you here? Like, why are you on this mission if you're not a good magician? It's like, well, because I'm here to be funny. It's like, but I don't care. It's like
Yeah.
I don't need you to be funny in this movie. I need you to just be normal. Like,
Yeah, I remember when they get to the big scene in the arena at the end, and you've got like the characters from the cartoon are
Yeah.
there. And I'm like, why can't we see that movie? Like, why couldn't
Oh,
we have gotten that movie instead of this one? I
dude,
would
you're
much rather have seen that.
yeah, you reminded me of something. Oh my God. Okay, this Deadpool 3, I feel like punching everyone in their heads. Everyone now is like losing their minds over Wolverine the yellow costume. Right. Why didn't we have this yellow costume Hugh Jackman fucking like 20 years ago?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Like literally that first movie came out, and you know who I blame? Every single person that gushed over that movie. I blame them all. I saw that in the theater. I walked out, I was like, what the hell is this crap? They're all in black leather. It's the Matrix. This isn't X-Men at all. And I was dating my wife now, but girlfriend at the time. And she had we were talking, she saw the X-Men movie. She doesn't know anything. She didn't know anything about comics at that time. She was just, she didn't know
She
anything.
knows now, though, doesn't
She,
she?
she knows everything now, and she's like, yeah. But anyways, she's like, oh, that was kind of fun. And then we were at like a bookstore where they had comic books there, and I was like, oh, there's Wolverine. She's like, wait, that's Wolverine? I said, yeah, that's Wolverine. She's like, oh, that's not what he looked like in the movie. I was like, oh boy, let's talk this through now.
And like 40 minutes later.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. 2 days later, she comes out. It's like, okay, I know everything about Wolverine. No, and now we're getting it. And all we heard our entire like 20 years of this garbage. Oh, they're never gonna do the costume because it's stupid and it's cheesy. Nobody wants Wolverine in yellow. It's like yellow always looks crap in film, except for Uma Thurman in The Bride, and where she had the Game of Death, Bruce Lee yellow costume that everyone just loves.
Yeah.
It's like that, but that yellow looked fine, right? And everyone likes Kill Bill, but anything else that doesn't look good. It's like, oh, we can't do the yellow, and Bryan Singer and his bullshit. And then Superman came out. It's like, why is the cape burgundy? Well, the red doesn't come out good and all. It's like, well, it looked good on Christopher Reeve, so it looked good in Supergirl. I just watched Supergirl with Helen Slater the other day, and it's like her costume is bloody awesome. It's like exactly the comics. So it's like, what are you talking about? They just keep, now it comes out and everyone's like, wow, this is best. Yeah, well, it's too late now because we're going to see it in the movie for what, a half an hour, and then we'll never see it again because Hugh Jackman's done. So thanks, guys. Thanks for giving us Wolverine for half an hour out of 9 X-Men films or whatever it is.
And it's not even really accurate because he's got these sleeves on it.
He's got the sleeves. He doesn't have the pointy boots. He doesn't have the mask, which he's not going to have the mask, right? Because that would still be, like, again, give us the mask. Like, I've seen cosplay of that costume, and it looks pretty badass to me.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things. Again, I think the people making the stuff, they just don't have confidence, and they think it'll look too silly, it'll look goofy, people will laugh, what have you. And I grant you, I think there are instances where that would happen. But I think there are, as again, like if you've ever seen that, what's that YouTube channel where they do death matches or death battle, where they have the superhero characters fight each other. They got a guy in there who does Wolverine, and he's done just like the comics, and it looks cool. It looks fun.
That's what I'm saying. I've seen guys do it, and you're like, this looks pretty cool to me. And like the other thing was that Superman and Lois show, which has just descended into complete dumpster fire shit. But the first episode of Superman and Lois, he had the Max Fleischer costume done in like more like tights versus like that textured kind of, and literally, my God, the next day, fucking Twitter is full with still shots of that. People are like, wow, this is cool. Oh my God, this is the best costume ever. And then the next episode, he had that garbage costume where everyone's like, well, what happened? And you're like, right. So for 1 second there, it literally, and nobody was saying, oh, the trunks look stupid. Nobody said that. Every stupid Twitter account had that stupid Tyler Hoechlin picture with him standing there with the Max Fleischer costume, and every tag was like, holy shit, Superman, oh my God. So why are they pretending that people don't like it? It's like everyone exploded when they saw that costume and thought it was awesome. So what market research are you getting from people who don't want that? It's like, and some people be like, oh, the trunks are stupid. Well, those people should be shot. They should be shot in the face. It's not an opinion. It's like, well, that's just your opinion. No, it's not an opinion. That is Superman. That's not an opinion. An opinion is, I thought this was good or bad. It's like, he has trunks. That's it. Well, we can draw him without trunks. Okay, but then it's not Superman. So you drew something that looks like Superman. It looks like a fake Superman to me. It's like, as soon as he doesn't have the trunks, it looks like fake Superman. I don't care. That's not an opinion. It's a fact. It's like the original creators had that. That's it. It's like, well, it doesn't make sense anymore. Well, too bad. It's like if Batman doesn't have the ears, then it's not Batman. What do the ears function? Like, what do they do? They're just there, right? So he doesn't need them, but they're there because he's Batman. If he doesn't have them, it's not Batman. Like, that's not an opinion. Well, that's just your opinion. No, it's not. That's a fact. If he doesn't have the ears, it's not Batman.
Well, I will say, I think that a lot of the time when there's like when you see these images, they get on Twitter and people start retweeting them and stuff. And you have people being like, oh, wow, this is so awesome. I think a lot of the time, and this is, I mean, this is probably going to rub some people the wrong way. I think a lot of the people who like this stuff, who like superheroes and all this kind of content, and I put like in quotation marks, they do it just because because this stuff is popular, and they just glom onto it because people like it, and they just want to be part of the conversation or something like
could
that.
Be.
But they don't really care,
But you could fix a lot of the problem. Like, okay, if you made a 90-minute, or let's say 100 minutes, if you made a 100-minute superhero movie, like, look at what's his face? Let's do Spider-Man. So the next Spider-Man movie, all you need to do is you have, let's say, Tom Holland, and he's swinging around the costume. So the first scene is he saves a bunch of people from something, right? Blah, blah, blah. Then we cut to Jameson, and Jameson's like, oh, this Spider-Man's a menace. And then they have Mac. I want to use Scorpion, so we'll use Mac Gargan. They break him out because they had the actor in the first film. So J. Jonah Jameson breaks him out and says, hey, listen, it's like, I want to get you, you're a Scorpion or whatever. I want you to go hunt down Spider-Man. So then then you have some stuff with Tom Holland trying to find his way.
They could use the Spider Slayer.
Sure, whatever. So he gets the Scorpion outfit. Scorpion goes out, beats up Spider-Man, makes him look like an idiot. Then everyone says, oh, Scorpion's the best. Yay. Then Scorpion realizes that he's stuck in that suit. It's part of him now. And then Spider-Man makes a comeback and fights Scorpion at the end and wins. And Scorpion tries to attack Jameson. He saves Jameson. That's it. You make the movie 100 minutes. Right? And you have one villain. And the budget won't be $200 million. It'll probably be, $80 or $90 million because it's only going to be 100 minutes. You only shoot what you need, and you don't have to have so many effects. And then the movie comes out. It's going to make 300, 400 million anyway. And you've just tripled, quadrupled easily. It'll for sure make 500 or 600 million just based off Spider-Man. So you made 6 times your budget back. You spent a lot less. Plus the movie's 100 minutes. So you can watch it more in the theater. When you get it at home, you can rewatch it a bunch of times because it's not 3 hours long and you don't have to spend your whole entire afternoon watching a movie. You can just watch, you can watch it after lunch or something. And then that's it. Why are they spending hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars? It's like this Indiana Jones movie is like $300 million. It's like, well, now it needs to make $800 million or else it's a fail. It's like, well, why? It's 2.5 hours. Like, make it 100 minutes. Have like 3 action scenes. Like, think of the movies you liked as a kid. It's like they didn't have that much. Like, why does it need to be 3 hours?
I think a lot of it is just, honestly, it's an over-reliance on the CGI. I think they want to put CGI in because they think, the spectacle will bring in people. That raises the price. So they feel like we got to make the money back. So we got to get more people in. So in order to get more people in, we need more CGI. It's like this sort of vicious circle that feeds itself, and just drives the budget up.
Yeah. Like, look, you have, for my Spider-Man example, which is the example I've used, I didn't just make that up today. That is the example I give people. The first scene is Spider-Man's flying around, swinging around, saving people, maybe, some stops a truck from colliding or maybe some boats or something. I don't know. He saves some kind of thing. That's your one aspect. Then the next bit, you have character stuff with Tom Holland. You have character stuff with Matt Gargan and with J. Jonah Jameson. And then you have the middle scene would be a big action scene where Scorpion fights Spider-Man. Scorpion gets the better of him because Spider-Man's not prepared for him. And he defeats him. And then we think, oh, Spider-Man's down and out. And then he picks himself up, brushes himself off, have maybe a little couple more scenes with some drama. And then he makes better webbing or, whatever he does. And then he fights Scorpion. I guess Scorpion goes insane because he can't get out of the costume. He wants to kill Jameson. Then they fight at the end. So all you need is 3. You just need 3 fights. One part in the beginning where he saves people, the middle action scene, which will be a really good, really cool, inventive action scene. Maybe do it over rooftops or do it somewhere in a new location that we haven't seen before. And then the third fight would be a big fight, but there's only 2 characters and one big fight at the end where he defeats them. Done. Why do you need to have 14 villains, and then more and then this guy shows up, and this guy shows up, and then there's this guy. It's like, why? Then all you do is you make a bunch of toys for Spider-Man. You have them in different costumes for the kids. You do Scorpion with different costumes. You could do classic Scorpion. You could do like PlayStation Scorpion. You could do modern movie, whatever. And then you just produce like a figure line of maybe 5 figures. It's like a couple of Spider-Mans, a couple of Scorpions, maybe a Jameson, maybe a Mary Jane, or whoever you have in this movie, whatever girl it is. That's it, Betty. Do a Betty Brant. That's it. I don't understand why it needs to be this massive $400 million campaign. And like, it's Spider-Man. It's going to sell.
I think, again, it's this mentality of more is better. You know,
Yeah.
It's like the whole thing with, you say, why do they have to add all these other characters? And part of it is for toys. They want to sell toys.
Yeah.
And they figure the more characters they stick into the movie, the more toys they can sell.
Well, okay, I'll give you an example with Iron Man Part 1. Oh, I've got to go in a couple of minutes. Iron Man 1, the first Iron Man movie came out, and really there's just Ironmonger. So I bought the Ironmonger figure. I bought the Iron Man figure, but they did Crimson Dynamo. They had figures for Crimson Dynamo because I had them. Guardian, Crimson Dynamo. Who's the other guy?
Guardian. You mean Guardsman?
Guardsman. Yeah, the green guy. The green guy. Yeah, Guardsman. Yeah, sorry. They had Guardsman. They had Crimson Dynamo. They had another red guy. What's the other red guy? I've read like 4 Iron Man comics my entire life. Anyways, I bought all of these, and I remember talking to Sean, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, Sean, look, it's like Crimson Dynamo. Like, he's not in this movie. What the shit is this?" And Sean's like, "I need an excuse to make a toy." I'm like, "Right. So just bring out toys anyways." They don't need to be in the movie. You just bring them out because it's like they look cool anyways. It's like kids are just going to buy them anyways just to fill out a toy line. It's like it doesn't need to be like, I mean, look at Star Wars. It's like, oh look, there's a Tusken Raider figure. It's like they're in the movie for 1 second. Like that was wave 1. A wave 1 character is a sand guy, is a sand person. It's like, really? Like they did nothing in the movie. It's like, yeah, but they were cool. So okay. Exactly. And kids bought them anyways because it's like, oh, I gotta have them all.
Yeah, it's superheroes are like the simplest genre, and like maybe westerns are simpler, but it's
I guess
a simple drama, a simple genre to write. It's not hard, and it just always I just constantly shake my head at how difficult they make it. It's like it's not this hard, guys. It's not that hard.
Like what are you trying to invent? And it's got built-in audience anyways.
Yeah.
So people are just gonna watch. It's Spider-Man. You have Spider-Man's name. Spider-Man. They're gonna go watch Spider-Man no matter what. It's like even I didn't see the Across the Spider-Verse. Why is that 2.5 hours or something or whatever it is? It's like, are you guys bloody insane? Like,
yeah, it is a bit long. I've seen it. It's and I enjoyed it more or less. There were some things I had issue with, but yeah, it does go a bit long.
Like how great was the story that you needed to like I mean my niece and nephew are never gonna watch that, for Christ's sakes. Like, oh god. And now we got a Ninja Turtles one coming out, looks kind of the same kind of thing. It's like, I mean, Ninja Turtles, like I love Ninja Turtles. I've seen all the movies. I've read some of the comics. I own everything. I own toys. I like the Nickelodeon cartoon actually a lot. I mean, I just like why I don't know how long that Ninja Turtles movie is going to be. Like, why is this? I bet you it'll be a couple hours too. It's like, why are these movies so long? Like Spider-Verse looks okay, but like, why? Like, is the story so amazing that it needs to be this long? Like, I couldn't tell.
And I want to say, hey, Masters Maniac Mexico.
Hey, Masters.
There. Thank you for stopping by. What does he say? War paint,
Misty days,
and dizzy, faint, keeping the faith, spring turning, or the flames of Disney burning. Well, good evening to you too. Well, look, you mentioned you need to go, so why don't we go ahead and wrap it up because it's been an hour and 40 minutes here. So.
Oh wow.
But anyway, thanks for coming by again, J-Man.
I appreciate it.
And before I go, I want to thank everyone who tuned in to listen and who will listen again on a rewatch. And I hope you guys all have a good weekend. I've got jury duty to look forward to Tuesday.
Oh man.
So not looking forward to that. But you all good evening. And I'll go ahead and take us out here.